Welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio and another episode of Unravelling Toxic Masculinity. In this video, we have a lawyer called Myron stupid, so he flipped the cars on her and it apparently got heated. I'm not doing this one on my live stream. I am just doing this one while I'm waiting for another one of my videos to process. So here we go. Let's see what they have to say.
When it comes to dating, man and women, do we bring the same thing to the table?
Sometimes, yeah.
How?
Well, how not? Why not? You're the one making the claim, so you have to defend the claim.
Okay, no.
That makes sense. And that actually looks like the same woman from the first video I'm currently processing. It might not be, I don't know, but it looks like it's the same woman that the whatever podcast have on. So I don't know, maybe they have these women come on the same podcast and make the rounds. I don't know. But hopefully it is the same one, because hopefully she will do a fairly good job of owning them as well, just as she did a good job owning the whatever folks. Let's continue.
But once again, I'm asking you, what do we bring that's different?
I don't bring it. I mean, we're different genders, but for instance, I don't like the traditional you pay my bills and I give you sex. Like, that's not for me.
Good. I mean, she's not going to be popular amongst these folks because these folks clearly want that so-called traditional relationship. But
from a biology standpoint, we have different parts, right?
What do you mean if we have different parts? Yes.
So are we the same?
I didn't say we were the same. I said we're equal. You guys, this is very simple. Equal doesn't mean the same.
I have a point though.
Wait.
Sorry, you had something?
Yeah, well, personally, I mean, not trying to offend you, but sure. I don't think that we are equal for the fact that women were born with value and men weren't. So, and I have a brother.
Wait, women are born with value and men aren't? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess she is subscribing to the whole alpha idea about what value is and what value isn't. I guess the whole purity is value thing, I'm guessing. I don't know. We'll see where she goes to get there. But and then men somehow have to earn value to gain the purity. I don't know. We'll see where she goes with that. But
too, so I can back it up that it's harder for men because they have to struggle a lot. They have to put more effort. They have to.
Oh no, another one. Poor men have to struggle, have to put forward effort. Oh no.
Make sure that they look good and everything. And not saying that we don't want to look good either, but we're already born with a high value. So only that way that we can downgrade is honestly if we, sorry, not trying to be disrespectful, but if you show yourself in an incorrect way or
what the hell does that mean in an incorrect way? I'm sure it means like, being slutty or whatever, whatever.
You make yourself look like a hoe.
Okay.
So there you go. That's what I said.
Episodes I can see. It's like literally him word for word anyway. But I mean, I think we're all born with value. Like we're not like everyone's born with value.
Whoa.
If you're saying that some men men have to work for their value, I don't know what that means. Like
exactly.
They have to work to be attractive.
You're a woman, so it's hard to.
So because I don't have to work to be attractive, and they have to work to be attractive, now everything's unequal, and they can. I just don't subscribe to that.
I mean, it's the reality that for a man to mate, he has to bring significantly more accomplishments to the table to have the same options and the ability to get with the opposite gender that a woman has.
There are some horrible, low quality people, i.e., lots of MAGA folks, who absolutely have no problems mating. So I immediately discount whatever that last statement was, because clearly there are people who put in no effort, who have no problems mating, but whatever.
By the time a woman's 18 years old, she's able to, if she's attractive enough, she can align herself with some of the top tier men. A man has to become top tier to even be able to get the chance a lot of the time.
So why does that mean though that you should be able to act on that? Like I know you make the argument that it's easier for women, but that if something's wrong, it's wrong. It's easier for you to kill me than it is for me to kill you. But murder's still wrong.
Let me ask you something. You come from the legal world.
Yeah.
Are you and a paralegal the same?
No.
Oh, and I love how you didn't like how you had this.
Okay, is she and a paralegal the same? If she is a lawyer, she has more education than a paralegal, so therefore, because she put the time and effort in to do the studying to become a lawyer, whereas a paralegal didn't put in the same sort of study to become a paralegal. It's a different level of of work that is put in. I mean, that is a horrible analogy.
Disdain for when I brought that up.
I didn't have disdain. I just had disdain because it's a non sequitur. But
no. I'm going to explain.
It's an absolute non sequitur.
The analogy here. The reason why is because you had to go through a lot more trials and tribulations to earn your title, versus the paralegal went through a fraction of the schooling that you did. So you guys are not the same. So therefore, they don't have the same authority that you do as a lawyer because you busted your ass to become one.
Here we go. I already know where this is going, and this is going to be horrible.
Paralegal is out there helping you with what you're doing, but you're the leader because you earned that right.
But relationships aren't like, I earned the authority.
Are, though. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because men are expected to protect and provide for women in general in a traditional relationship.
But traditional gender roles are should be going away because we shouldn't have traditional gender roles. You are enforcing traditional gender roles, so therefore you are building the problem that you're complaining about. If you eliminated traditional gender roles, then you wouldn't have to worry about this crap. You wouldn't have to then try and manufacture this all the quote I have to work harder to be this manufactured person that we shouldn't have to be.
If I'm expected to protect and provide for you, I have some authority. I need to have some authority.
You don't have to protect and provide for her. I mean, you don't have to provide for this woman because, like, for example, this woman is a lawyer. She could provide for herself. Therefore, but then you don't want her because you're a hypocrite. Because you're saying, if I have to do all of this stuff, then, but you don't want somebody who you don't have to provide for. You're demanding somebody to provide for because you don't want to be in a situation where the person can provide for themselves, because then they can feel free to leave your ass once they realize that you're not the end all and be all of men, that you're subpar, that you're actually not all that in a bag of chips.
Over you because I'm responsible for you.
First of all, not all relationships have this traditional.
I understand your perspective.
Traditional.
I get that. Yeah. Not every single relationship is traditional. However, a majority of women, you might not be it, but I'm just making an argument for the majority. Mm-hmm. A majority of women prefer and would enjoy a tradition.
He's speaking for a majority of women now. Wait, he's speaking for a majority of women. A majority of women want to have this douchebag as their as a type of a scenario of what they would want to be married. They want to have this traditional, supportive. No, there's surely going to be some people who do want to have a quote traditional marriage, but not in the way that he presents it either. They may want to have the maybe where they might want to stay at home and take care of the kids while the husband goes out and works. Probably because we still live in a society where in many of the jobs that are out there where men still earn more disproportionately than women do. So as such, it's more beneficial to have the man out there working and to have the wife at home raising the children, because society is still built that way, because we still live in a patriarchal type society. But we should live in a society where it shouldn't matter who decides to stay home. It doesn't matter who decides to go to the work. If you have if the mom decides that she is going to, if for example, this attorney, went and she continued to be the attorney, and then her spouse decided that they were going to stay home and raise the kid, that should be fine too. But in his manufactured, made up world, not only should he be the one providing for, but the spouse should be there as a sex doll for him as well, as we've seen in previous videos.
Traditional relationship where the man is the breadwinner, the protector, and the provider. Women typically, when they work, don't want to pay the majority of the bills.
Women, when they work, don't want to pay a majority of the bills. Come on. People, that is just a completely sexist comment. If a woman works and is going to be contributing to the household income, they're going to contribute to what they can. Like, I make money, my wife makes money, we put money to the pot, we pay the bills. That's how it works.
I want to work what I say electively versus the man must work from a mandatory standpoint. I think if I land up 100 women, they'll prefer the guy to be the breadwinner and she could work on her own terms.
Notice he didn't say what percentage of those 100 women, but he's just throwing numbers and figures out of his a-hole because that's all he knows how to do. Because he just is going to randomly manufacture figures that are going to meet or going to somehow fit his cognitive bias, even though he has no real facts or figures to support what he's really saying. He just is going to say whatever he wants to say to make up figures and back up the falsehoods that he's saying.
So you think being the breadwinner automatically gives you that authority because you're earning the money, and whatever she's providing to the relationship is not as valuable in a traditional way?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
he absolutely is saying that.
That as the breadwinner, that is just one of many components that puts the individual in the authority position, which I would argue the man needs to be in that position for attraction to be maintained.
But you're assuming that the breadwinner.
So in order for attraction to be maintained, that says a lot about him. That is saying a lot about him, that he views himself so poorly. He has such a poor view of himself. We already talked about some of his views about himself in previous videos. Like, he doesn't feel like he has enough, that if his partner is out with a male friend, that he fears that she's going to go sleep with him if that's what the friend wants. So he already feels inadequate enough that his female partner is going to go off and shtup any other person so she can't have any male friends because she might shtup one of them. But now he feels that all he brings to the table is his ability to earn money. That's it. If he doesn't have the ability to earn money, he loses his attractiveness, his appeal as a, quote, man to the relationship, because there's nothing else. He doesn't have, feelings. He doesn't have support for his partner. There's nothing else that he brings to the table other than, I'm a paycheck. I'm a walking wallet. That's all he is. He's a walking wallet and looking for a walking vagina. That's all his relationships will ever be.
Role give somebody that authority.
It's just one component of it.
What's the other component?
The protector and the provider and the leader.
Okay, and she's providing, I'm saying, in a traditional relationship, the home and the kids. That's not equal.
I never said that's not important.
But is that equal? No.
It's not equal within the confinements of a relationship, because the man needs to be the leader.
So that's not as important.
The man needs to be the leader. Why can you not have defined roles within what each person does within a relationship, yet still have equality within the relationship with, like, decision making? Like, we're gonna go, let's go look for a house together. We're gonna decide on buying a house. So you're gonna say you're gonna make the decision all on your own. This is the house we're moving. Too bad. Or you're gonna say, let's go look for a house together and find a house together and make this decision together, because you're the person I'm spending the rest of my life with, and I would like you to be happy as well. This is the limited worldview that this individual has. That because he is the, quote, leader, that he is to be the decision maker, and she is just the follower. So he is a walking wallet and fist, and he is the person who makes decisions, and she is the walking vagina and uterus.
Raising your children isn't important as
No, it's extremely important.
But is it as important?
It's different.
Okay, different,
It's
but is it unequal? Because you're arguing it's unequal. So if you're saying unequal, that means one role is more important.
And to him, it seems like that from that little bit of the conversation, that he plays no role in the raising of the children, where that's already telling me why he has such a poor view on relationships, because his family apparently didn't do a good enough job raising him, where he didn't have a good father figure teaching him how to be an exceptional person, an exceptional human being. So he is either learning from a horrible father figure, or he's making it up as he goes along, learning from other horrible people who he believes are the right way to do things.
Important than the other, and that's what gives you the authority.
Well, the thing is that the roles that I have are very important to the survival of the family from a holistic standpoint.
And raising the next generation isn't important?
I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that for us to even be able to have the child in a safe space, as in a family, I need to make sure that I'm on point for us to be able to have that child to thrive. I mean, we forget about all this because we're in a modern day society with, technology and all these modern conveniences. But, you got to remember that human beings are, a progression of a bunch of conditioning. So before, we didn't have all the modern conveniences we did now. So the man had to be the leader and the protector. And
before, we didn't have all those other things like freedom and women's ability to vote. And we lived in a society where women were treated like, chattel and property. And that's why we believe the things that we currently do, and why currently there's an active effort to dismantle those patriarchal systems to allow people to be treated like equals. And then you have people like this who are working to maintain those patriarchal systems. It's an appeal to tradition. An appeal to tradition is a logical fallacy. Just because we did things a certain way doesn't mean we should continue to do things. We should continue to do things in a particular way because they're the right way to do things, not because they're the way we've always done things.
And the provider to ensure that his wife was safe and the children were safe. So he was the head of the household for that purpose.
But we're not in hunter-gatherer times anymore. We've evolved for millions of years, and I don't think we just malfunctioned in 2023 by having less stringent gender roles. We're evolving to our times and our circumstances.
Amen. And yes, this absolutely is the same woman from the video 2 videos ago, and yay for that. I'm glad she is making the rounds and giving these people a good what for, because so far from all of these videos that I've seen, she's one of the few that gives them as what they need to hear. Not that they're listening, but she's actually making really good points back at them. And I don't expect them to actually absorb it and learn something from her, but she's making great points, and hopefully, at least some of their audience will be like, I'm sure they're not. I'm sure the audience is like, oh, the audience is probably either saying to themselves, she's just repeating terrible normal feminist crap, or they're just staring at her boobs.
So to constantly be like, well, in hunter-gatherer times, millions of years ago, or whatever many years ago, this was the way. If that doesn't apply to now, well, you need to withstand rational inquiry. So if you have a belief of yours, it has to withstand rational inquiry for the time. So you can't
exactly, as I said, he's doing an appeal to tradition. You should be able to justify what we're doing now by arguing for it now, not appealing to tradition.
Be like, well, this is how it is because it's evolutionary reason that I'm saying. If it doesn't make sense in 2023, then you're stupid for following that.
Okay, really? So let's go ahead with some rational inquiry.
Yes, but okay. So he's going to get all mad because again, this title of the video is because the lawyer called Myron stupid. No, the lawyer said the idea is stupid if you believe that if you should be sticking with something just because it's a traditional way to do things.
Okay. Why is it that women still prefer men that are stronger than them, taller than them, make more money than they do, are superior to them in almost every regard, even though they're able to create their own security with their own jobs, get their own education, protect themselves through the police state? Why do women still screen for all these factors if they don't need it, and we live in this modern world that you're arguing?
Well, let me cut. I'll try and answer before she answers. Because we still live in a patriarchal society, so it's kind of hard for women to find men that are making less than they are, because a lot of the times in the professions that women are making less money than the men are. So women are going to find men that are making more money because you have these ingrained systems that have existed for a long time. So the average salary of men are going to be higher. That's just the way it is. But there's the fact that there's also why are women going to date men that are larger than them? But typically when it comes to body size, the average man is larger than the average woman. It just happens to be how it is. Are there tall women? Sure. Are there short men? Sure. But there, just tends to be a lot, when it comes to height, that's just how it is. And you can't help attraction. Like, physical attraction is not something that you can control. I can't just look at somebody and be like, am I attracted to a person? I don't know. Let me make a decision. Let me see if that person checks these boxes. No, I'm going to look at somebody and be like, that person's attractive, or I'm not attracted to that person. Whatever. It's there's no control over that. So the point is, again, dumb.
Changing. So yes, women still, because it's still recent, especially if we look at our evolutionary trajectory, it's still recent that women have been able to get these opportunities. And since then, if you look every single year, more women are okay with making, or their partners making less and less than before.
Yep, there you go. Because again, we're making the strides, but we're still in the system.
So hypergamy is on the decline. You can look this up.
I would argue it's actually on the incline.
Okay, well, that's just...
I would argue that it's on the incline, but I'm not going to provide any data. Now, granted, she didn't provide any data either, but he would argue everything that supports his argument, but he's never going to provide any data that proves his argument. So...
contrary to stats, but I don't know what to do at that
point. Here's the thing. There's a bunch of articles that show that women find men as less economically attractive than ever before. Why do we have higher divorce rates? Why do we have...
If we have higher divorce rates because... women are free to leave their relationships because they're more economically stable, because they're no longer trapped, because they no longer feel as if they're stuck in relationships because they could be financially independent, because women can now have their own checking accounts without their spouse's approval.
Higher divorces. We don't have higher divorce rates in the past. And how long?
Okay, look. Divorce rates are women initiate 70 to 80% of divorces.
Yes, and you constantly...
And marriages are at the lowest that they've ever been. Yes. Why is that?
So this is something I see you do. You don't understand stats, you don't get it. Okay. So for instance, you say college-educated women, for instance, initiate more of the divorces, right? Mm-hmm. Which is true. But then you take that, I've seen you do it, you don't get it. Then you say, college-educated women are more likely to get divorced. They're actually way less likely to get divorced. One of the best things you can do to actually prevent divorce is to get married to a college-educated woman, especially if you're looking at longevity. A college-educated woman is 80% likely to have a marriage that lasts at least 20 years. A woman without a college degree is only 40% likely.
Ooh, snap. Dropping the truth bombs on Myron.
But you guys conflate that because you're like, they're more likely to initiate a divorce. So when two people are getting divorced, a woman that has more resources is going to be more likely to initiate and leave a situation. But those women are actually less likely to marry people or get into circumstances where they're going to divorce in the first place. One of the number one things you should look for if you're looking to make sure your marriage lasts is to marry a college-educated woman. These stats have been replicated year after year after year. They're in 2023. I looked up 2023 stats right before this. One group of women has marriages that last the longest and are least likely to get divorced, and that is college-educated women. But
boom! Myron got told.
You guys constantly conflate those stats.
Yeah, but it's harder for college-educated women to find a man in the first place because...
It's fine. Of course, it's harder for college-age women to find a man. No, it's harder for college-age women to find somebody like you. That doesn't mean it's harder for them to find a man, but it's harder for them to find somebody like you because you are shallow and only want somebody who's going to be a walking vagina uterus.
Their standards go up alongside it. And again,
that's not true, though, because you're with, I'm a lawyer. I could marry a lawyer in 2 seconds. I'm constantly around other lawyers. The college-educated women are around more educated men. The best position you could be in to marry a lawyer is to be a lawyer yourself. They marry lawyers most often.
What percentage of men are lawyers?
Well, what percentage of women?
That's what I'm trying to say.
But rather to be happier than in a miserable relationship.
No. What I'm trying to say, because here's the thing, we got completely off topic there.
We got off topic because you're now owning me in the argument, so therefore I can't handle this. So I'm going to change the subject to something where I think that I can handle myself in because you've clearly owned me.
Well, I'm saying because this all started with me saying that just because we have modern conveniences does not necessarily mean that women have changed their mating practices. Women still want a man superior to them in almost every way if given choice.
But it's going down as times change. So you guys.
Oh my! But again, there may be polls that say that there is a subset of women, I don't know what percentage that is, who want a man to be X, Y, and Z, and they may very well be true that that percentage of women as a set of all women is dropping because there are more women who are now being more financially independent because we're now growing as a society and eliminating traditional gender roles. And that's what dude doesn't get. Dude wants to maintain his ideas based on what we used to do and not based on what we are now. But yes, if you are in the set of women who are still, struggling because there's still some patriarchal ideas that are still pervasive in society today, yeah, you might feel more comfortable in a particular situation knowing that your husband might be being paid a good job. That might be an attractive thing to you. But there are plenty of people who are getting married, who are getting married to people who are not high earners. Lots of people get married who are lower class and middle class people. So this idea that you have to, be a... Now, of course, he's probably only considering the fact, well, I want to be in a situation where I can marry the top 5% of what I consider to be the top 5% of all women. So therefore, I'm going to be, working out of the gym 8 hours a day and being able to, pick, 18 to 21-year-old girls who are in tip-top shape and who have never had sex. Unicorns. Not in this other sense.
Guys are teaching something that's actually becoming less and less valid as time goes on. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know about that, because
I don't know about that, except for the fact that she's telling truth bombs.
And even though women are more educated now than ever before, and they have all the opportunities, all the same rights and privileges, they still want a man that's better than them. I would argue hypergamy goes up as women are educated, because women are less likely to settle when they are higher earners.
Well, I mean, technically, yeah, but these women don't have to settle because you're around other high earners.
Yeah, they don't have to settle because they don't have to settle because they no longer feel like they have to marry somebody to support them. So therefore they can find the person with whom they are going to be in a good relationship with, as compared to before, when they used to always have to settle because the only way that they could leave their parents' house was to find a husband who would work and support them. So therefore, as like the other videos said, when grandpa only had to do, 5 times less work, or 20% of the work that grandson has to do to get the, the very attractive grandma back in the day, is because grandma didn't have the ability to be self-sufficient, so grandma had to settle for Mr. Lazy Grandpa. That's why grandma had to settle, because grandma had no way of being self-sufficient. Now, women can be self-sufficient, so they can support themselves, so they don't have to settle. They can actually go out there and, support themselves. And poor Myron doesn't like it.
That's what I mean. Like you're around, like lawyers tend to marry. It's called assertive mating. You're around other lawyers. You're going to marry lawyers, marry other lawyers, doctors marry other doctors. If I'm in a law office 24/7, it's so easy for me to marry a lawyer. This idea that you guys have, I don't know, in Miami, I don't know about podcasting, if it's so
easy to marry one, but
yeah, I don't know about Miami podcasting world, but lawyers are not marrying 18-year-olds that work at McDonald's. They're marrying other lawyers. Engineers are marrying other engineers.
The point is that men are not pigeon-toed to marry within their class, their socioeconomic level.
They are.
It's
the attraction similarity hypothesis. It's one of the most researched theories in the psychology of attraction. You tend to mate across IQ, across socioeconomic status, across education. This is how people generally mate.
Generally,
men are totally
we're talking about generally.
Down.
They're more okay. They're more okay with dating down. And again, I don't know what. Maybe in new money world it's different. But lawyers and doctors, they're not marrying girls like that work at CVS. It's just not a thing. And they're not marrying hot girls off Instagram. My mom's a lawyer. My sisters are lawyers. My cousins are lawyers. All my friends are lawyers. If we all met up and one of them was like, "Oh, I'm bringing my girlfriend," this 19-year-old I met on Instagram, never would happen. They're dentists. They're other lawyers. They're
not going to bring them around Joe because like.
But are they marrying them? If they're marrying them, then
marrying you. Then you're divorcing them, and then they're going with a hotter.
But I'm
chick.
way far.
They're not divorcing because, as she said before, if she's getting married, she's more likely to keep the marriage because, as she cited in her study, which I'm going to believe, because she was being more forthright with actually citing the statistics as opposed to Myron, who wasn't. She was basically explaining the fact that these. People who are waiting to get married, who are educated, are actually taking the time to realize that this is going to be a good marriage, and they're less likely to get divorced. Now, when they do divorce, they're more likely to initiate it, but they're less likely overall to get a divorce.
Are less likely to divorce, and that's what I just told you. Yes, look up the stats. College-educated women get divorced the least. The likelihood that my marriage is going to last 20 years is 80%. I don't know who here just has a high school education. That's 40%. That's double.
You specifically, or you mean women that are lawyers?
College-educated women. Me, I don't even believe in marriage, so not me, but...
So... Yo, you know what's funny? You should date Destiny.
She shifted.
Argument
Yeah,
I love Destiny.
it doesn't. There's like I said before. I addressed a bunch of your points, and then you're like moving it.
No,
like,
what point?
Like,
No, what point did you address? I I like to argue. I'm a lawyer. So
yeah, no, I know that, but like the whole point about like you're saying rational inquiry, like women, times have changed and women have changed and evolved in it. But I would argue women have not evolved because women still want a man that's over 6 feet tall.
Do you know how long it takes for
women still men over 6 feet? I mean, there are plenty of women who date men who are not 6 feet tall. I mean, I am 6 foot, so I mean I can't necessarily say that my wife didn't go for somebody. I mean, I'm sure she dated somebody who was shorter than me, so that's fine. I think she has. Yes, are big, tall, strong men going to be found attractive? Sure, but that doesn't like. You can't help who you're attracted to. If you look at somebody and say, that person's attractive, you can't help that.
The fact that women have been able to work,
I get that, but my argument is simply that women haven't really changed that much as to what they're attracted to.
It's not that women haven't changed as to what they're attracted to, it's that people can't control who they're attracted to. So if you can't control who you're attracted to, then what are you going to do? It's as simple as that. You're attracted to XYZ, and you're not attracted to ABC. So if there's some some sort of magic formula, I don't know what that magic formula is, but there are a lot of people who are gonna height might come into play with it. So if you're gonna look at it, damn, that guy is tall, and if that comes into play, maybe yeah, but you can't control what you're attracted to. And so the fact that you're going to blame women for being attracted to somebody because they have a characteristic that they can't have no control over, women can't control what they're attracted to, just like you can't control what you're attracted to. I mean, you might try and hide it. I mean, there are people who absolutely are ashamed of some of the things that they're attracted to, and they try and hide it. Because they might realize that, hey, I might be attracted to this person, but that's not societally acceptable. So therefore, I'm gonna choose not to date that person because I'm ashamed of dating that type of person. That's why some guys are embarrassed to say that they're attracted to somebody who might be considered overweight in society. I got mocked and made fun of in high school because I liked to date, some of the people that I dated that were, deemed to be overweight, but I didn't have a problem with dating the people that were, quote, deemed overweight because I thought they were hot. So what? That's my tastes. My tastes are not anybody else's tastes. And if you don't like that, cool, don't date them. I'll date them. More for me.
That's all I was arguing.
That's the
you
case,
tried to make the argument that they did because of modern conveniences. I'm arguing even with modern conveniences, women haven't really changed of what they're attracted to.
There's so many articles. I implore your audience to looking up how hypergamy.
His audience is not going to look up anything. Are you kidding me? His audience is going to sit here and go rah, rah, rah to whatever he says, and his audience is probably just sitting there staring at your cleavage. I mean, that's all his audience is probably doing right now. That's because that's what his audience is there for. His audience is there for to have him feed their cognitive biases. His audience is there to just be applaud and just cheer because they want to be just like him, even though they probably will never be just like him because for whatever reasons they want to pretend to be the alpha, even though he's again not one either, because all he is a walking wallet.
Is on the decline. It's still a thing. I'll give you that, but it's on the decline as circumstances change.
If it's on a decline, why are more men reporting lower levels of sex than ever before?
That's so are you looking at the 2018 study? Because
no, there was one literally that just came out that showed guys between 18 to 20.
Part of the reason that's also happening is because people are getting married older. So a lot of the reason people had sex younger before is because they were married. That's one of the reasons that people say that. And I'm not saying that some men don't have it tough out here. but
not some, a majority.
It's not a
majority of men have it tough. It's hard out here for an incel.
Yes, it is.
A majority of men aren't struggling?
A majority of men are not, maybe majority.
Majority men may be struggling because maybe a majority of the men are having to deal with the fact that it's no longer easy like it was for Gramps, as we discussed in the other video, because, you know, Gramps could be a lazy piece of crap and get the woman, whereas nowadays you don't get to be a lazy piece of crap anymore. You have to actually put in work and effort and actually have to be a decent human being and not pretend to be a decent human being just to get the sex.
Majority of your audience, but
no, a majority of
men in general are struggling with women.
No, I think it's, as she says, it's right. It's the majority of the audience, because they probably talk to a specific subset of people who are all angry incels who are mad because all these horrible women are withholding sex from them, and that's why they're incels. Oh, I try and be nice to women, and they're withholding the sex from me, and I can't understand why. Well, it's because you're conflating the idea that just because you're nice means that you deserve to have sex.
If they weren't, you weren't able to leave a lucrative law career and go into OnlyFans and make a bunch of money.
Wait, so OnlyFans is only because men are struggling?
Yes.
Upwards of 90% of men, very normal, educated men. Far more educated than No, they're not, though. I have so many couples that watch me. Upwards of 90% of men consume and watch porn.
Might be 2% of your audience.
No.
We're saying most men that work a regular job are
struggling. You guys also don't understand that highly educated people don't have the same views on sex work as you guys do. So a lot of them, if they're gonna
I guess that was a nice little dig. Highly educated people don't have the same view on sex work as y'all do. Wow, that was a good, and he's just like, God damn, I just got burned and I don't know how to handle it.
I watch porn, they rather watch it in an ethical way. OnlyFans is a way you can watch it ethically. The money goes directly to the creator. Nobody's under 18. We all have to be verified.
I feel like guys who get pussy.
I didn't realize that she was an attorney and an OnlyFans model. All right, cool. Good for her.
They don't subscribe to OnlyFans.
That's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
That's just not the case. I mean, you can feel that way, but that's just not true.
I don't know. That's how I feel.
The reason why pornography is so popular nowadays,
and that's probably why they have her on, is because she's both an attorney and an OnlyFans model. So therefore, they get to make whatever comments they want to make about her because she is an OnlyFans model. I'm sure that's the reason why she makes the rounds that she does.
Especially is because it's so easily accessible. You can get it for free. Guys are able to satisfy their sexual thirst through variety, through the internet, and a lot of guys are struggling with women. I mean, this is.
Okay, he just contradicted himself completely. They're resorting to porn because it's easy to get the porn because they don't want to put in the work. They don't want to put in the work, so they just rather go watch the porn and self-pleasure than go do the work and have to actually put in some sort of effort to try and get some sort of relationship and actually get to know somebody and form some sort of meaningful bond between somebody if they're going to have a relationship with somebody, or at least at the very minimum, treat somebody with some sort of modicum, some sort of small modicum bit of respect if they're at least going to try and reach out to them and just try and even just hook up. Like, I've seen friends of mine who are single, who are out there, who just, or I'm in like some Facebook groups too that, you know, that talk about like all of the struggles that people deal with on like these dating apps, where like so many dudes like block themselves out of so many opportunities because they just don't know how to act right. If they would just simply just treat people like they were just human beings for 2 minutes, they would open themselves up to a world of possibilities. Let's roll back in time. Show my age for a second. In my day, when I was back in college, and I would be on AOL Instant Messenger and AOL, dialing into AOL, looking at AOL profiles, right? And I would be talking to people in my single days. And I'd sometimes ask some of the women on AOL, I was like, do you find it aggravating that all these men will contact you and they'll say, hey, you want to have sex tonight or whatever, just like out of the blue. And even though your profile says I'm not looking for sex, and they'd be like, oh my God, yes, it's ridiculous. And I'd be like, do you want to know why that happens? And I'd be like, why does that happen? Tell me. It's like, because your profile says I'm not looking for sex. They're not reading your profile. They're just searching profiles for the word sex. And since they got a hit on your profile, they're just immediately sending you an instant message saying, oh, well, this profile says sex, so therefore it must be somebody looking for sex. So they're going to message you and say, hey, I want to have sex. And it doesn't matter that you say it's not, because they're hoping that one of these hundreds and hundreds of messages that they send out to people, that somebody's going to be like, okay. Because that's all they view these people as. Just like Myron, just viewing women as receptacles for their fun stick, for lack of a better term. Or for, whatever. I'm sure there's better terms, but whatever. So I was like, look, try this. Try I'm not looking for fornication, or I'm not looking for copulage. Put some other word in there that's not sex, that gives the same meaning. And so I would continue to talk to some of these people, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, I'd be like, so how has the harassment gone? Has the harassment gotten any better? And they'd be like, oh my God, it's been so wonderful. Thank you. And because the harassment stopped, because they were no longer getting hit in these searches, because they no longer, people who are looking for sex in the profile were no longer getting those profiles in their search results. Shockingly enough, back in my single days, some of these people I ended up dating, ended up having sex with. Why? Because I treated them like they were human beings. I treated them like they were actual people, worthy of dignity and respect, and not somebody who I was just trying to, get a leg over. Not somebody who I was just trying to, wham bam, thank you, Dan, or whatever. Because I was treating them like a real person, and not just trying to, hit and quit it, so to speak. So if you actually treated people with just a modicum of dignity and a modicum of respect, that didn't just, try the shotgun approach or the throwing spaghetti against the wall approach, you might find that you have more success dating. But you don't, because you listen to clowns like Myron and his advice, and you think that his word is the gospel. When in reality, if you just treat people nicely, you might end up getting, more success in your dating life and your sex life. And maybe you'll find a person or two who are women who might actually just, simply want to be friends with you, and that's cool too. And maybe you'll find that if you become friends with women, you might have a better understanding of women as well, and that might also help you in your future dating life as well. Shocker, I know.
This is a fact at this point. This isn't even I don't think so, blah, blah, blah. A majority of men absolutely struggle with dating and meeting women in the first place.
What do you mean by struggle? Where was...
They struggle because, again, the majority of your listeners probably struggle dating and meeting women because they're listening to you. They're listening to Myron, and they're listening to the whatever podcast, and they're listening to the so-called alphas, and they're trying to emulate your type of behavior, when in reality, your type of behavior is going to be a turnoff to a large segment of women who don't want to be used like a walking, talking vagina and uterus. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. What are your thoughts? Leave your comments below. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, and have a good day.